So moving along with our next section here, we're going to take a look at a couple different ways to come up with equations. Now, one of the ways, and we're not going to discuss it in the notes right here, I'm just going to kind of go through in pieces, but one of the ways to come up with an equation is just to kind of follow what it says in a question. Yeah, I don't have any like that here, but there are some in the assignment, so I'll just kind of skip down to the assignment. I'll go through one really quickly. That's kind of our next section here. So for number 2 here, we're just looking at creating an equation to solve a problem. So for A, we have 2 times a number is -10. Okay, so really we're looking for, we have some number and we're multiplying it by 2. Okay, so we're multiplying it by 2. So that number, 2 times, when it says a number, that's our variable. This is going to be one variable. It's equal to just -10. So it's going to be 2 times our number or our variable, so x, is equal to -10. And then we have to figure out what x is. So that's what number 2 is. And if you want to kind of get started with that, you can. But I want to look at some contextual problems that bring in our a way of coming up with an equation. So just like those previous ones here, the solution to a problem is always will be described in a few different ways. Number one is as a single value. So it might just be x is equal to 6. Done. Okay, depending on what x is. It could be an equation. Okay, and we're often going to look at equations. Or it could also be an inequality. I'm not going to deal a lot with inequalities. We'll do a little bit. And there's a couple questions in your assignment that deal with inequalities as well. But that is a little bit on the side. We're not going to worry too much about that right now. So we're mostly what we're going to look at is an equation, sometimes as a single value. Some solutions, okay, as we mentioned, have a single answer, okay, to the problem. These are what we might consider to be the most basic of problems, okay, and they have a simple solution. And they have a simple solution. They're fairly straightforward. They're going to have a simple solution. Now we're still going to want to define our variables. So if we have context, we want to define our variables, and we'll do that in this first one here. So this first question here says, during a baseball game, there are 9 players will be on the field at one time, at least from one team. Okay, if you know baseball, you know that there are 9 players on the team at one time. So now what we are kind of being told is we're dealing with number of players on a team. So we're going to say that x is equal to the number of players on the field. Okay, so that's defining a variable. That's what x is. Now this one's fairly straightforward. This equation that we're going to come up with is just x is equal to 9. Okay, it's just x is equal to 9. Done. That's it. Okay, that's all it is. It's a value. Okay, we're given a value. It's the number of players on a field. X is equal to 9. Now we could also kind of be told something as well, like the number of players is equal to something times 9 or whatever the case. But in this case here, we're given kind of straightforward. Okay, so here's another one. Fiona needs to book 5 or more haircuts to make money. Okay, so think of it in a salon. If you want to make some money that day, you got to do a certain amount. Okay, if Fiona needs to book 5 or more haircuts, okay, if she wants to make any money. Now, there's a key word here that I want to point out. It's the or more. Okay, so it's not. I guess that didn't work to highlight. Let's try maybe a different color work. Maybe not. That's okay. So need to book 5 or more. So what we're going to be talking about here is number of haircuts. Okay, so we know that our variable x is going to be the number of haircuts, not haircuts booked. Okay, so she needs to book 5 or more haircuts each day to make any money. So that means that she could be book 5. Okay, if she does 5, she makes money, but 6 works as well, 7 works as well, 8 works as well, and more. I guess there would probably be a maximum. So what that's going to tell us here is that the number of haircuts booked has to be greater than or equal to 5. Okay? The number of haircuts booked is greater than or equal to 5. So this would be the inequality that we've come up with. This is what happens when we have a question that has let's call it a simple solution. One single solution. Here, one solution. Here, one solution. Okay, that's all it is, and that represents the question that is in place. Now, these are the most basic. I don't usually give you a whole lot of these, but there may be one or two in our assignment. So that is taking a look at a basic problem which has a simple solution of just a single solution. One variable, okay, we still define what the variable is, and we can go from there. Now we could also actually change the letter of the variable. I will usually use X. It just is a little easier for graphing later on. But you could also say that this is H. H is the number of haircuts booked, right? Haircuts. So you could use H as well.